In this video, I'm going to show you how to take your leftover white scraps and turn them into colors to make backgrounds for cards using up the scraps because you don't want to waste. Do you ever find yourself having too many white leftover scraps? I do. I'm going to show you a way to use them using stencils. First, what we do is I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut these. We put our strips on this paper and I'm going to tape them down. Let's see. 4 will do. You could use washi tape. I'm going to use masking tape and I'm going to tape these down to my scrap paper here. And then we're going to choose a stencil. I think I will choose this one. That's a cool pattern. Actually, no, before I do that, I want to tone it, or at least tone part of it, with a light blue. I am using Balmy Blue. I want to just tone part of it, not the whole strip. Just for a little variety. I think I'll just tone the right side of the paper. It'll just go part way. Just because I think it'll make the stencil look cooler. Sometimes when I don't know what card to make, I just start playing with my strips. Well, I did that yesterday and I came up with some nice cards, but I'm looking at all these white stripes, these white strips, and say, you know, I gotta do something with them. So it helps me to just play a little. Alright, I think that's good. So we just kind of partially toned about 1/3 of the strip. And now I'm going to choose a nice bold color. Nice dark starry sky. And for this, I'm going to put this stencil on. Okay, I want to tape it down so it doesn't move on me. Oops, don't want that to cover the edge. Just I want it on the very edge of the, I don't want it to hide the pattern. And if my papers are not on here straight, that's still going to be okay. So we tape that down, and now we're going to apply this right over top. You're like, oh, but you're hiding. Yeah, but it's going to be hidden. What this does is it masks the color underneath, so only some of the white will show through. And on this side, it will be light blue. Trying to get an even application of color. You don't have to. You could actually change color. And I may do one where I change the color partway through. I wanted something really bold. Thinking of, I need some more mail cards. Cards that would be suitable for a mail, you know, and that are not too pretty. So I thought this design might be nice for that. That's why I chose the blue. But I also think it would look nice with yellow and orange. Okay, now the moment of truth. Let's see what we've created with these plain white papers. Now my hands are dirty. Is that not cool? See how it's kind of got that light blue tint and then it fades to white? That's really cool. So we have these individual, let me close this, I don't want to accidentally lay my arm on it. So now we have these wonderful stripes, wonderful strips with a pattern that we could do something with. We could make cards with them. Very cool. Love that. That would look very nice on a man's card. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just playing with papers, and I want to experiment with some colors to see what I can create. I'm going to try this one now, a different pattern, and I really like this starry sky. It is a very bold color, so I'm going to use it again for this pattern, and we shall see what it does. You know, if you wanted to, you could just sort of fade it. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll just keep going and just go lighter, sort of at an angle. Yeah, just kind of fade it away. So just barely there. And then I think I'll go dark again. So I did it dark to light to dark. Let's see what that looks like. That is cool. I like it. See, dark, light, dark. My hands are getting bluer. But that gives me some patterns to work with. Very nice. We'll just keep on playing. Balmy blue with these little squares. They're kind of randomly placed for a starter, but I'm thinking about adding another one on top. I know it's very light, and that's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna change it up some, and actually I want to rearrange it a little. I want to tip it maybe. And I'm adding another color. And for this, I think I'll choose Orchid Oasis. It's kind of dark, but not as dark as the Starry Sky. And I don't know that I'll do the whole thing. I'll just do a little bit, maybe sort of like stripes. I want to just fade the edges a little. Yeah, I didn't do the whole thing. I just kind of did it in stripes. Let's see what that turns out like. Oh, that's interesting. That's okay if it actually covers up some of the light blue. And it's sort of, it's different. It sort of has a digital look. Now that I'm blue tipped, I need to take all of this to the sink and wash it off. And it's really cool because the ink just rinses right off this, and then I'll have to dry them. And I'll wash out my little sponge applicators and then try to get the blue off my hands. So I looked through my 12-inch strip bin to pull out any blues, any shades of blue, and then my little jar of skinny short strips, and pulled out my blue. We're going to use these in combination with the papers that I made. I liked this one, so I made a lot of that. And I have the light and a darker. And I made these. And these I had done previously, and that's got a little purple in it. And that I did with stamping. So I've got all these papers of shades of blue that I can play with to make some cards for mails. I'm gonna do what I like to do, my strip method, which is my favorite way of making a card base. Somehow playing with my strips, it gets the creative juices going and it helps me to formulate a plan for a card. Blue cards, I'm thinking a man. I picked out the stamps that I'd like to use, just something simple. They don't need any flowers or any flourishes because the cards are beautiful by themselves, but in a masculine way. I am going to use a leftover stripe. I will be able to get this on here. I should be able to get all of them. Yep. So I will stamp those and cut them out. They're stamped. Punch. Now I need to pick out which one would work good. This could work. Think about it. Too big. How about this? That's very classy. Okay. Detailed bands. So I'll pull that out. This piece is trash. Got rid of another white stripe. Alright, which one was I thinking for sick? I don't know. I think that one for that. That for that. No. Yeah. There. That will work good. Okay, I might want to do something with this, with the black marker. I'm going to put a point on each corner, and then I'm going to make a mark, kind of give it a little border. Just for a little extra style. Just kind of follow along the shape to sort of give a frame. And I stop right short of the dot that I made. And that creates a little frame. Okay, that's good. They're all fine. I just need to glue them on. And it's very simple. That's all I want to do for the guys. I don't want to fancy it up or embellish it or add flowers or leaves or any other decoration. That's where all these patterns of color just do the job for me. Keep it simple and something that a guy can appreciate. Excuse me, cat. You're kind of in my way. It's not that exciting. I don't really like it. We'll try another. Hey, you're going to lose my glue cap. Cat. Did you get stuck underneath? Yeah. I got it. As I was putting together these colorful orange and yellow cards, this is what I was thinking of: fruit, the colors of fruit. And I knew that I had this stamp set for creating lemons and limes, or it could be oranges. So I've done oranges, lemons and limes, and I thought I would try to use those to make some juicy cards. I'm even thinking about writing a silly poem to go with the whole idea of fruit and juice or something. I'll figure it out. But yeah, that's was the inspiration for these cards. Using up the scraps to put these wild colors together. Normally, I don't like to use so many colors in a card. I like to limit the palette because I think it's a lot more pleasing. These are very bold, and they could be exciting, they could be good for kids, or they could be something that would cheer somebody up. So, but now I've got these busy cards with a lot of color, and I got a lot of color fruit. And the challenge will be how to arrange it so they look good. So I'll play with that, and I'll come back to you on this. I started off using orange paper, but I realized that's a little too bold. I used the orange, and it looks fine because there's strong oranges on this card. I just need to put a sentiment here, but I did make an arrangement with the first ones that I did. Again, you just have to play with the colors you have, experiment, and you know what? Even if you're not totally happy with the colors that you used, you could find a way to use it and make it. It was much better to use like a golden toned paper and print the orange on it. I used Tangerine Tango, and that was fine, but then I just felt like the inside was just a little too dark, so I switched to using Pumpkin Pie so that the inside is not quite as dark as the outside rim. You can see the difference here. I played with colors, experimented with different combinations, and I think what I've decided is I like the outer rim, the Call Me Clover. It's not perfect, and the Gumball Green for the inside, and then I touch it up with a little bit of golden color, a yellowish tone. See, sometimes they look, certain colors they look a little more sickly, and if I add the warmer golden colors, they look more alive. And the color that you print it on, like this is, I don't know what color that is, but it's a dullish green. So whatever background you choose, it's going to affect the color of your ink. So you just have to experiment with different colors until you find the combination of what you like. Now I like the way that this one printed, Call Me Clover, but really that's just too dark. I mean, it's okay for the outer shell, but it doesn't work for the inside. So then I started using a darker color on the outside and a lighter color on the inside, and touch it up with markers if necessary. For the lemons, I used So Saffron on this color paper, sort of with gold and yellow, and I do have to sometimes go in and touch it up, just make it look a little bit more juicy. You know, you think of fruit, you think of wet, juicy, and it drips, and so I want it to look alive. So I do tend to touch it in with a yellow. You can just kind of go over it. I mostly focus on the outside edges so that I enhance the pattern that's already there, and I don't have to be so careful when I color it. And that makes them look juicier and more realistic. Because if the colors are dull, they look did. All right, the fruit is added. Now I need to come up with some message to go inside because none of the stamps I have has the message that I want to give. I want something fun, silly, and colorful because that's what the card is. The first thing off the top of my head, probably I heard this somewhere, but I think it's funny. Some fruit is sweet, some fruit is tart. You're a little of both, so I'll call you my sweet tart. It's probably not original with me, and that's only good for like your loved one, your spouse. So, but I need something a little bit more general, even a little kind of a twist, something silly. How about this? This card is a little juicy from one who's a little fruity. Wishing you the very best, a life filled with zest. It'll work for a birthday card for just about anybody. Yeah. So I went to the computer and I printed up some front cover words that may or may not be used on the front of the card, and then I wanted to use like half a sheet to cut the inside message to put here, because remember this is flimsy and this is cardstock, so it's nice and strong. So I put one message here, one message there. I will cut it and trim this down so it fits that perfectly. These can be either cut out with a shape or a straight line or whatever as a front message. And I got a couple more. I did add another one. It's not a poem, it's just a thought. You're not getting any younger, so word of advice about life. Squeeze the juice out of it, enjoy every drop. I saved these on my computer because occasionally I do add poems. I don't think any of these are original. Well, that might be original. And that one's original. But that one, I probably heard it somewhere and I just remembered it. If I ever want to use them again, I can. I just printed them on cardstock, so I just need to cut these down and add them to the cards. All right, moment of truth here. So I cut them to the width of the card so they'll fit in there, but I should have only put one message to a card, because if I cut this the same size, it's going to cut off those words. And if I cut it here, this is not going to be covered. It would have been better if I had just put one message per side, and there's not enough room here on the paper to cut to, so I'm going to have to do something different. Just want to share that with you. So if you do make your own messages, just put one message here. Get rid of the thin paper that I dislike. So I'll put this down here, that way I can sign it. And where's my bag of lemons? I usually put my spare supplies in a bag. And I've got some lemons and limes here. We can do, this one looks good. That way it just looks like it was all designed that way. I make the bottom of this a little bit darker. There, we got orange and green and yellow in here, and it looks like it was a whole plan. We hide our flaws. We disguise the mistakes we make so that it all looks like a plan. Oh, there was one stuck to that. I think it looks nice to have them grouped a little bit differently. So even though I screwed up on printing the card, I made it work. So we have a very, oops, we gotta put this on. Alright, I think that should have a background. That background would work good. So let's glue this on here. I'm all about contrast. Color and contrast. It makes a difference. Okay, that looks better. So even though these are wildly colorful cards, I'm bringing it together with the general idea of fruit. That's why I put these combinations of colors together. And I felt like with all the yellows and orange, it had to have a touch of green. That's why I wanted some limes. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And it looks like a plan. And it's a solid card. It's no longer flimsy because of everything that's been done to the cheap, thin paper. And now it's a good, solid card. So I'm happy with that. I might do the same thing with this. Now we have sort of a golden and a green. So I think we need orange. I don't know, I think I want to do something up here. I'm not sure what. I'll put that aside and think about it. And this one, I printed the card full size, but since it's full size, I cut it so it can frame it. And so that's nice and easy. That just looks better. And we have the Zest of Life. Pretty good contrast. I think I'll do the same thing. We'll just add a little bit of color on the very edge. I always look at how everything works against the background. You could even pop it up for a little shadow. That way the zest just kind of pops out at you. I mean, the colors of these cards pop out at you. Zest of Life. And that sticks out. It's raised. Zest for Life. This card's a little juicy, from one who's a little fruity. Wishing you the very best, a life filled with zest. And I wrote that. So I'm calling myself fruity. Well, I am in a fruity mood, right? Making all these fruity cards. Again, we have a card that is too small. We put it up here. I'll put it down here. I could cut off a little bit more and then we could do something up here. Let's see. Yeah, it's about fruit. I got plenty of extra fruit because I put my extra fruit in this bag, so I could do that. I think I will take off a little bit more from the top so I have a little more room to work with. And I'm actually going to trim it just a little bit more this way. Alright, and I think we need to go around it with yellow. Yep. Yeah, we'll glue that on and then we'll pull out some fruit to... I know, maybe I could make a little glass out of Mylar and stick a lemon on it and put a lemon in the bottom. I'm going to think about that idea. See, I might be working on one thing and I'm thinking about other things. Alright, let's see. Let's put some fruit up top. Cool, that behind and this in front. And this just teetering on the edge. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll do it. Variety is the spice of life, right? And we're adding zest to these cards. It's like teetering right on the edge. There. Is that not cute? Oh, where's the cover? Turn up the juice. Since the subject is juice, how about we go around this with some yellow? So you may have thought those are some strange looking cards, too wild. But hey, look what we're doing. We're pulling it together with the whole idea of fruit and juice, and it's got all the warm sunshine colors of the fruits. Here we go. Turn up the juice. This card is a little juicy, from one who's a little fruity. Wishing you the very best, a life filled with zest. So it looks like the whole thing was planned exactly like this. It was. It really was. Okay. We got just one more to do. Is there anything unusual about this one? Yep. Again. And this is, oh yeah, this is for my sweetheart. This is for my hubby. So I can do whatever I want with this card. See, I don't have a complete plan. I just have a thought. And I play with that thought until I work it out to a satisfactory... Yeah, I think I could just, you know, add some fruit here. Yeah, sure, that'll be fine. I hope I've given you some ideas. Some creative ideas that, you know, I should probably lay these out before I start gluing, because what if I want to change it? I kind of cut that off, so we'll hide that. Orange. Yeah, I feel like it needs orange. Or hiding the mistake. I put it up too close to the edge of the paper, so we want that one underneath. We hide our flaws in a creative way to make something that somebody else can enjoy. I like the idea of it teetering on the top. There we go. Now, yeah, that looks good, surrounded by a lot of orange. Okay, I got an idea for this one. Paper to make the perfect straw. Corner to corner. And that will be our straw. Okay, now cut off the bottom of the straw. And how tall does the straw need to be? So probably about that tall. Okay, so now we can put the straw in the cup. Let's see if it's going to fit the card. Or is it too tall? It's too tall. Alright, let me just pencil what it should be. You know, it just needs a little shadow on the side. I just want to put a shadow on one side to help the straw look rounded. I got all my parts and I'm ready to put this together. Oh, I gotta go get my craft knife. You know what? I might just make another lemon since I have that paper. I'm probably going to use a couple of these too. Probably use those. Well, I sort of messed up. I was so into what I was doing, I forgot to check that my camera was recording, so I missed it. So I didn't show you how I put together the glass. We have, first of all, underneath the here is a white base, and then I use some golden mylar. Well, actually, no, I put a line in the glass on the white, and then I put mylar on top to give it sort of a golden tint. I glue the straw in. I did have to cut a line from here to here. The straw is coming up through that slit so it looks like it's in the jar. Wish I had made this smaller. It's on there now. Because this kind of hides the straw quite a bit. I should have made it. There is a slot cut out here. This end is tucked in that slot that I cut with a craft knife so that I could have the lemon look like it's sitting on the edge of the glass. The mylar, of course, is on top, so there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. Oh, if you want to count the straw, that's a 5th layer, plus there's six pieces to put this all together. And then this was a stamp that came from the Sweet Citrus from Stampin' Up! Just to had that little bit of a you know, that pucker face you get when you taste a tart lemonade. You know, that little, I don't know how to describe it. I think that's what that represents. And so I added a lime and a lemon, because we have a lime and a lemon in here. And so it looks like it's all purpose, even though I goofed up when I printed my little message and I have just a little space to sign it. But that'll make a special card for somebody, a very personalized card. I used black. I wish I had used blue to draw the glass. I think blue would have looked better. But oh well, it is what it is. Hope you enjoyed that. Here are the cards that I created using the white papers that I used stenciled patterns on, so that I could create some strip cards. So remember, except for this solid colors, everything here was white paper, white scraps. and I've been able to create a bunch of cards. Sometimes I take the cover and I fill up the whole card, and sometimes I cut it out, leaving a little edge to trim it. And it kind of just depends on the design. So I got 12 cards of these in the blues. And see, the blues is a very calming, peaceful color. Now these are more purples. I got a few with purple, and I got the rest of these with blue. The purples, I'll probably make them into female cards. The blues, probably male cards. But these are starter cards that go in my starter pack, and then they're like partially made cards that all they need is a sentiment, maybe just a label with some words. I don't have to use a picture. See, with female cards, it's easy to make because you can just add a flower and a sentiment. With guys, you know, they don't want flowers, so I thought patterns are good. They would fit a guy, and all I have to put on is a sentiment and keep it simple so it's not too frilly or feminine. Although some of these cards, like that one, it could be for male or female. But the ones with the purples, I think I'll make those into female cards. I might even add some butterflies. As a matter of fact, I did. Here's one that I did with butterflies. This one had a butterfly that can be kind of open. This one is raised with dimensionals, and I have the edges of this one up, but I added some butterflies to that one, so that is a card for a female. And I'll probably do something with butterflies with these. I did do some other butterfly cards with some of the orange cards. This one was yellow, and when I sort of accidentally dropped that butterfly on that card, I said, you know what, that's perfect. It doesn't need anything else. It just needs a sentiment. So there it is. And this one is mostly yellows. I was thinking I'd put fruit on it, but I tried to put the fruit and it was just way too much color. I like the simplicity of this golden card made with white paper. Only the solid colors are from my strip bin where I keep all my long strips. But everything else, this was white paper. Actually, that little strip right there was left over from a previous project. But I printed those and I made those designs. Okay, here's another one. This card, it was one of those cards I was not happy with. I did not like this big orange stripe running through the middle. When it comes to patterns, it's okay to have a big pattern stripe, but it's something just unnerving me to have this wide. If it was skinny, it would be okay, but because it's wide and it's plain, I decided to cut out the middle, and I didn't want to waste it, so I put the middle on this orange, and I felt it was plain, so I cut out with this. I took two of these and cut a border to add that, and then I thought the butterflies looked good on that. And here I used, again, this. I just found the same size that I cut that out. I cut out a white and I just slipped it in the middle, just to kind of break it up. And then I felt the white was a little too plain, so I added some flowers and leaves. Just felt like it needed a touch of green, and then I used butterflies on this one as well. So although the colors are very strong, and actually the truth is, I was trying to use up this paper because this paper is thin. And you know, I was trying to save money at probably, I don't know, was Walmart or was it the hobby store? But I got a pack of paper with lots of colors, and I was just not happy with it. It's really thin paper. Here's an example. It's very thin paper. I prefer cardstock. It makes much better cards. So it's worth it to spend the money because these flimsy papers, they just don't work good. So that's why I have to reinforce it because it's thin. So I put a cardstock inside so that it's stronger. And all the stuff on that I put on this cover makes the cover stronger. But as itself, the paper is too thin for a card. Let me see if I can find, I'm sure I've got one that I haven't reinforced yet that needs to be. Okay, here's a card. See how that's thin. So because it's orange anyways, I don't like to print sentiments on dark color. So I will put a white cardstock on here to stiffen that up. But because this has got that on it, it makes the front stiffer. But the nice thing about using the thin paper is you're using papers glued onto a paper, glued onto a paper. So that's where you can use the thin papers. But I also just didn't like these bright colors. I guess I'm not a bright color person. I will make cards out of these. And they'll be nice cards and people will appreciate them. But it's not my preference. It's a little too strong, a little too bold for me. I prefer the softness and subtleness of colors, like the blues and purples. They're just so pleasing, so nice, so relaxing. Whereas these colors can be kind of unnerving. That's just my personal preference. Like this one is softer because it doesn't have the strong colors. Well, better to see it without that. See, bold and softer. Well, I should give you this contrast. Oh, these are complementary. Blues and oranges are complementary, so that might be a little too much. That might be nauseating for your eyeball to see. But anyways, these will go into my starter bin, which is starting to get a little thin. There aren't so many cards in here right now. Let me just move this out of the way because it's casting a shadow. So I will take these cards, and they're partially started. I call them starter cards. And they will go in this bin. All I have to do is grab a card from here and finish it up. Like this one has a sentiment on the front and a little embellishment, but it doesn't have anything inside. And so they will go into this. This is my bin. And what I do, I keep a calendar and a list of who I have to give cards to. And so at the beginning of the month, when a new month comes around, oh yes, there's some more. See, I made all those cards in just a couple of days. Right here, all of those cards. I don't know how many there is. But I needed to, because look how small my starter cards are. So these are like ready cards that they don't take much time. So this is what I do. At the beginning of the month, I come through, I pick out, I know who it's for, what the occasion is. I pull out a card and say, okay, this one's almost done. Oh, that'll work. I just need to figure out what I want to say inside and sign it, put it in an envelope. Done. Just like that. Now, the other ones that don't have decoration on them, I will think up what needs to be, what's the occasion, and what should the sentiment be, and I'll put something on it and do it. And so I'll sit there and I'll do a whole stack in a very short amount of time, and I've got all my cards ready. I put them in the envelope, I address them, and I put where the stamp goes, the date that it needs to be mailed, and I keep a stack of them on my table to keep up with all of the birthdays, anniversaries, or events happening for a single month. That's how I stay on top of it while I'm using up scraps. Oh, there's some more cards I missed. See, I made so many cards. These ones, I limited the palette, red and white. Actually, I was using a poppy red. It was sort of an orangey red, but it kind of looks red. So I just limited the palette here, and I needed a little bit of filler, so I took a piece of embossed paper. No, I think I actually embossed that. And just to fill in the little bit of whites, because I didn't want to bring in any new color. And this was just using up the very last little bits. And so that it just needs a little sentiment on it, and it's ready for. So how many cards did I make? 26 cards in just a couple of days, not all day. I mean, it's just, I sit down for a few hours and work, but it gets me stocked, ready to have a card at a moment's notice.